Okay, so here's what I want to do in this video. I want to graph y equals sine of x, just like one cycle of it basically, so going from minus pi to pi. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to change my axes here from minus pi to pi. And I'm going to try to make this video resemble how I would think through and the decisions I would make as I make them. Now, a lot of these decisions are decisions that you would make as well, and thoughts you would have as well. So hopefully you'll be able to kind of follow along with what I'm doing here. So the first thing in the x range, I wanted to go from minus pi to pi, or at least it needs to include minus pi to pi. So let me try that, going from minus pi to pi. I'm going to import numpy, because this is going to have a lot of functions that I need, like the sine function and also pi. So I'm going to make this go from pi, so np.pi to np.pi. And then, well, sine goes from minus 1 to 1, so maybe the y range is okay there. I'm going to run this and we see what we get. Okay, so now if I think about it, well, I want the graph to go from minus pi to pi, but it just looks a little bit better if, if I look at minus pi to pi, like the, one end of the graph would be here, it would go up like this and come down there. The other end of the graph would be there. It looks a little bit better if there's kind of like a buffer over here. So maybe instead of going from minus pi to pi, I'll just go from minus, let's say, 3.25 all the way up to 3.25. Okay, now I'm gonna run this and see what I get. Okay, that might be okay. I want to do something similar with the y-axis. I don't want it to go. I want there to be a buffer here as well. So it's going to go from minus 1.1 to 1.1. And so again, I have this little buffer here and there that I think will look nice. Oh, I need to get rid of the dot as well. So I'm going to get rid of the dot here. We'll put other dots, but I need to get rid of that dot. So I'm going to run it again. Okay. But now I remember, you know what? Like, I don't actually need to have, I don't don't need the increments to be in 0.5. It really makes more sense to have the increments be in multiples of pi over 4 or pi over 2, something like that. Pi over 8, pi over 4, something like that. So I'm going to come over here and make the increments in pi, np.pi divided by 4. Run it again. Okay, so now you can see what's happening. All of the numbers are running together. Okay, now there's ways to restrict the decimals on the number, but instead I'm just going to change this back to the default, which is false. I'm not going to show numbers. Another thing to do would just be to get rid of that entry in the dictionary, and it would revert to the default, which is false, but I'm just going to keep it as false. And now I have this. So this is 0, pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, pi, and then this is 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1 there. Okay, so now I can get to the point where I can actually draw a graph here. So there is a method. So I'm gonna use this method. It's going to be ax.plot. So that's the plot. That's the method that I'm going to use. So if I come here to axes and I go down to the methods, wait, maybe I'm already past it. If I go down to methods, plot is not a method there. So I'm going to go up to coordinate system. That's its parent class. And we see that plot is a method here. So where is it? So plot is a method, but where is it? Where is it? Okay, I'm just going to search plot. Okay, here we go. Generates a curve based on a function. Okay, so what do we do here? You pass in a function. That is the function that you want it to plot. And you pass in an x range. And we're going to forget about this other stuff for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do again, x range is going to be the x values that we want to draw the plot over. This is going to be the function. So I want it to be sine. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to do the first argument is going to be np.sine. That's the function that we want to use. np.sign. And then the x range is just going to be minus pi to pi. Okay, so minus np.pi to np.pi. And now, when I run this, nothing's going to happen. Well, a mistake will happen. Where did I? Oh, np. Okay. Nothing different will look. Okay, so why? Because I haven't actually added the graph yet. So this, I'm going to say graph is equal to this, and now I'm going to add the graph. I could just put that right down there as well. So no, good. Sine curve here. So what I mean is I could take this and do it right there. But that is typically not the way that we do things because we'll want to alter stuff. Okay. All right, so there we have that. And now let's say that I want to add a dot here and a dot there. Okay, I want to add a dot here and a dot there. So I'm going to call it dot L for the dot on the left. So this is going to be dot. And remember, I want this to be at the x coordinate minus pi and the y coordinate 0, but that's relative to these axes coordinates. So I need to do ax dot c to p, and I'm going to put the left, the x is going to be minus np dot pi, y is going to be 0, dot r is equal to dot ax dot c to p, np dot pi, 0, oops, and then here I'm going to do dot left, dot right, and then run this and we see what we get. Okay, we got a dot there and a dot there. Okay, so this is just if you want to show, you know, what it would look like. This is the beginning of the plot, this is the end of the plot. Okay, so this is what we have. But let's say I want to make the following change. There's not a lot of animations going here, it's just, you know, showing everything. So let's say I want to do this in 2 steps. Let's say I want to have it draw the axis and then wait a little bit and then draw the curve here. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. Okay, so again, I want it to draw the axes and then I want it to draw the graph. So I'm going to comment this out for a moment. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I can get it to draw the axes. So I'm going to do self dot play, not add, self dot play, and in here I'm going to do create ax, and then I'm going to make it wait for a little bit. Self dot wait for 2 seconds. So now what's going to happen is going to draw the axes and then just wait for 2 seconds and then do that on a loop when I run this. And it's going to take a little bit longer. We have this stuff up here because Manim's actually having to render a video. Okay, now let's say you think it takes a little bit too long, or it doesn't take long enough, like it's just drawing those axes kind of quickly. Well, you can come up here in the create class. You can write runtime equals 2. So now it's going to take 2 seconds. So this is probably going to seem like it's a little too slow, but just give you an idea of what's going on here. It's going to wait for 2 seconds and then just do it over again. Okay, well, so now if we want to add the axes, or sorry, add the graph, it's going to be something similar, self.play create graph. Okay, and now when I run this, it's going to draw this, wait 2 seconds, or draw the axes, wait 2 seconds, then draw the graph. We haven't done the dots yet. So we'll get something like this. Again, if it's videos, it's actually having to do rendering, so it takes a little bit for it to compile. Okay, so that was pretty cool. But let's say we want to do the following. Let's say we want to do the dot, have the dot come on, and then we want to draw the graph, and then we want to draw the dot there. So axes, draw the left dot, do the graph, then do the right dot like as the end of the graph. Okay, so here's how we can do that. Just do this self.add. Okay, so now Sorry, I had a student come by, so I'm not exactly sure where I am right now. Okay, so we're adding the dot. I know we're adding the dot, so I'm going to do self.play, create the dot on the left, and now what's going to happen, the axes are going to be there, it's going to draw the dot, then draw the graph. And then let's draw the dot at the end, so self.play, create .r. Okay, so now let's see what happens here. Okay, again, creating the video here. Axes drawn. Takes about 2 seconds, waiting 2 seconds. There's a left dot, graph, and the right dot. Okay, so it looks pretty cool. And then there's all sorts of things. There's all sorts of things that we can change here as well. Let's say, for example, we want to go from, we don't want to go from minus pi to pi. Let's say we want to go from minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. We could change the things up here. That should be minus pi and so on and so forth. I'll let you guys figure and think about how to do those things. Okay, I think that's it that I want to show for this video. The next video, which I think will be the last video for this week, I'm going to show you how to add labels to the axes, and then how to make a make a thing here that says like y equals sine of x. Okay, so that is it for this particular video.